Hi, my name is khellerfreeze, and I'm recording this video for Simpson University and the World Religions class. We live in a diverse world, thank goodness, in our ethnicity, our morals, our beliefs, our traditions, our customs, our cultures, but more so in our religions. I am lucky enough to have researched the religion Zoroastrianism, which was very fascinating. It was an ancient pre-Islamic religion of Persia, which is modern-day Iran, and it was founded by the prophet Zoroaster in 6th century BC. He was a prophet and a priest. It was monotheistic and dualistic in its features, and the dualistic view was of the world, the universe, and man's destiny. It influenced many other major Western religions such as Islamic, Judaism, and Christianity. And I found it very interesting that it was supposed to have influenced the Chaldeans' doctrines of astrology and magic. And it played a decisive part in the reconstruction of religion and social structures of the Indo-European people. Another salient feature was namely the dualism, good and evil fighting an unequal battle, which I think still exists in our world today. It felt that God was not so much omnipotent, but the omniscience of God. I believed in that. And that man has the capacity of free choice, which is very consistent with modern philosophers as well as the Bible's thought that man does have free will and free choice. We studied that actually in this course. And that it also ties in with the soul and the body. And that good and evil is not the same as spirit and matter. It actually has a distinction between the two. Zoroaster is quite an interesting character in that, for me, and the pictures depicted of him reminded me a lot of Jesus. When Zoroaster was born, it was the same time as Siddhartha Gautama was born, a Buddha. And there is a correlation between the three in that Jesus, Buddha, and Zoroaster were all enlightened persons, which I thought was very interesting. In Buddhism, as well as in the Bible, Christianity, and in Zoroastrianism, there is talk about good and evil and suffering. And it seems like most religions do posit that man is ultimately free to make his choices in the world. We do live in one universe. We do have one God in Christianity and in Zoroastrianism, while respecting that other religions perhaps have many gods, such as Hinduism. And what I found interesting in Zoroastrianism is that, let me get to my page, that the thought of dualism, the good and evil, the one God, the one universe, and the cosmology of the religion that included astrology, magic, the use of water for purification, and the fires that they kept burning all day long. They fed the fires 5 times a day, which was interesting in that they also prayed 5 times a day, which is customary with Islamic faith. Anyway, they did hold purification rituals, fire rites, which they thought allowed for regeneration. Water was penance, and it was basically the resolve to not sin again. And then the fires were basically thought to be sacred, and that they were going to find wisdom and spiritual insight via the fires, which is quite a concept. They felt that there was conflict in the universe. Basically, the world and the universe were a battlefield, an endless war, good versus evil, and the dark powers of the universe constantly trying to overcome man God or whatever it may be. The interesting thing about studying religions for me is that we really don't know, and that adds an element of mystery. So what I'm speaking about as Zoroastrianism, it's all pure speculation on my part in the research, but I did find it very interesting. The three principles of Zoroastrianism was good reflection, good word, and good deeds, which is really in line with God's word and with the Bible. Also about action and reaction, cause and effect, which is more karmic, which seems to be in line with Buddhism. And I also appreciated that Zoroastrianism involves humanity, and that humanity has an active role to play in the conflict of the universe. And I think that we can all agree that that is true. Sometimes man is truly his own worst enemy, as we've seen with the environment and other issues. They feel that humans act favorably to receive favorable action, that the cosmic struggle, the good and evil trying to destroy, and then man's conflict in that part. Again, I feel really strongly that it's consistent with the Bible, I guess, the word of the Bible. That is very important that we choose good over evil, because it has a huge cosmic importance, timing myself, and that man has a capacity of free choice and does so with soul and body, not against body, for opposition of good and evil. It's really something to think about, that spirit, mind, and body concept that is spoken about in the Bible as well as through Buddhism. Zoroaster, at the age of 30, was fetching some water at dawn, and for a sacred ritual, and he saw a shining figure, Yazata, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing all of this right, you'll have to excuse me. But anyway, he led Zoroaster to the presence of Ahura Mazda, which was God, basically, where he was taught the cardinal principles of the good religion. He did not believe that Ahura Mazda was omnipotent, but he believed in the omniscience of God, and that Ahura Mazda was using the aid of humans in the gigantic cosmic struggle, which the religion really takes in essence the whole universe, not just the earth where we live, but it's bigger than that God is the universe, and that God is out there struggling and working hard against the dark powers, and that he needs to draw in the humans as aid in this huge struggle, which comes back to the play of doing good deeds. I think in essence this helps God in his struggle. The fire Bahar is symbolic. You'll see it on the slide. The spirit of the human being. And then the face is a human face connected to mankind. And you'll look on the PowerPoint, you'll see the figure standing there with the wings, which has 2 wings with 3 main feathers, which is good reflection, good words, good deeds, which mirrors the principles and the belief in those Zoroastrian faiths. Basically, that it's love, justice, and morality, which is also shared with Buddhism, Christianity, and other faiths. The lower part, the 3 parts, is bad reflection, bad words, bad deeds, which causes misery and misfortune to human beings. The circle in the trunk indicates our spirit, which is immortal, having neither beginning nor end. And the hands pointing up, showing we have a struggle to thrive. And the other hand holds a ring, covenant of loyalty and faithfulness. The shared beliefs, I believe I'm on slide 5, is in the same theory that evokes saviors will come to the world. Zoroaster or Zoroaster, I'm not sure how to say that, was hoping that he was going to be one of them. Or, interesting enough, one of them would be one of his sons. He believed there would be 3 saviors coming back to Earth. And he believed that the saviors would come back in intervals each 1,000 years, which is fascinating. I would actually like to read more about that. Same as the coming of Christ. And Judaism adopted some doctrines from Zoroastrianism, and this is really fascinating. The 3 wise men who visited Jesus on his birth were actually supposed to be Zoroastrian astrologers. And so, pretty interesting. The prayers 5 times a day. Oh, Lordy, what happened? Oh, there it goes. My computer stopped, and I thought I ran out of time. Anyway, so prayers 5 times a day, consistent with the Islamic faith. And then there is a thing called the Buddhism scripture, and it talks about the acts of creation, history, duration of the world, origin of man, and nature of the universe. The other shared beliefs is the one transcendent God, as the creator, the conflict of good and evil, heaven and hell, which I thought was very interesting, angels and demons, sacrifice, judgment. And what really got to me, I think, was the consistency between Zoroastrianism and Christianity and the beliefs, although while it's different, it was so similar. It was almost eerie. And also it had in common that basically it's a good world gone wrong, but the world still has the memory of what it had been. And I think that was in C.S. Lewis's book as well. But anyway, getting to the end, we look at some of the shared beliefs of Zoroastrianism, and then also the Buddhism, or the book of Zoroastrianism, how it's in line with a lot of the beliefs in the Christian faith. And what else did I want to talk to you about? I wanted to talk to you about, in the end, in closing this up, that we are all different, and our religions are all different, and yet I find that we are so much the same, that we all look for meaning in life. Good deeds bring good things, and we all struggle to find some hope in the world, in the chaos. So maybe it is true that the world is a battlefield in the universe. And of course there are dark powers. They exist everywhere, but it is up to us to overcome them through our faith, whichever faith that is that we choose. What I loved about Zoroastrianism is that it blended the belief in one God while adding the element of magic and mystique, something I think that we've lost. Through the ages, it's separated good and evil, believed in angels and demons, heaven and hell. All of the same things that we found in the Bible. And what this has done for me is it has really created a parallel in the world of religion and the origin of man and the history of man. And it really, even for those who are non-believers, perhaps atheists, that fly on my screen, it really is good for an argument, or in an argument against non-believers with believers, that all this history exists. And I think that it was in one of the lectures that there is so much proof that Jesus existed, and that God existed through the miracles and through the Bible. And when we look at Zoroastrianism, they postulate a lot of the same beliefs that are consistent with the Bible, and yet this happened, many thousands of years before Jesus, was born. We find a consistency in the faith of Buddhism, even the faith of Islamic people, Christianity, and all of the other religions that exist in the world. We might believe in one God, we might believe in more than one God, but I think we all share the same hope that if we do good in the world, that good will exist in the world and hopefully be able to overcome any evil. So Zoroastrianism, I think, was a very instrumental in the beginning of setting up religious doctrines that influenced many Western religions. And if you ever have some time, it's a wonderful religion to look up and read about. And I enjoyed the tie to astrology and magic, because that adds a little bit of fun and excitement. So I hope you enjoyed my video and you have a